Blue Lock is really cooking right now, as in today's chapter, we see Nagi coming back into the story, but also Kira, who is also back in Buratsuta's side B. On top of that, we have a pro player from the Dutch League also appearing. Alright, starting off this chapter, also called Birdcage, the opening text says, within the U20 framework, the only option is to wipe out the incompetent. After that, we see the gremlin. Buratsuta with a huge smile on his face, he calls them geniuses. He tells all of them there that they have been chosen by him, 300 to 1, telling them that they are all strikers, and that the mission assigned to them is only one, and that is to surpass Blue Lock and become the #1 striker in the whole world. As he says that, we see Kira for the first time in like 300 chapters, which is insane, but he stands tall and looks super ready and fired up. Buratsuta then continues and says that for that, and from now on, they will fight against each other, and the two who survive will move on. We then see the whole room being filled with tons of strikers, and Buratsuta on the big screen tells them that as representatives of Japan in the U20 World Cup, they will earn the right to challenge the finalist team, from TV commercials to transfer negotiations within and outside Japan, explaining that they will prepare every possible path for them to all become stars, and that for the two who survive, he himself will prove his full support. After that, Buratsuta begins to smile as he tells them all that if they want to obtain everything in football, then step forward as Blue Lock Project Special Edition. Side B now begins, and just then, the doors open, and Buratsuta thinks that he is just as cool as Ego was when he did it. After that, we see a ton of people running towards the door. Meanwhile, Kira is just standing there, right in the pit. He starts to laugh, and says that players without any artistic ability are all attracted by a good slave contract. After that, he also starts to run towards the door, but that's when a mysterious guy beside him starts speaking to him. He says that it looks like even the dropouts from the original Blue Lock are joining in. Kira is first shocked as he looks over at him and asks if he is also a dropout. However, he says that he is wrong and that he doesn't know the first thing about Blue Lock. After that, he reveals himself to be Seindo Haneru. He tells Kira that for this selection, he was newly called in by Buratsuta, explaining that he is from the Dutch League Division 2 team AAA. After that, he tells Kira that it's nice to meet him and calls him Japan's Hope. Kira then says that it's also just as nice to meet him and asks him what number he got, and if he also got one, which Haneru says that he did. He continues and says that it's the one they gave them when they entered, and says that it looks to be here. Anyway, while they are continuing to run through the halls, Haneru says that he is still kind of shocked that the great Kira couldn't survive in Blue Lock, and on top of that, he's already trying to challenge again, asking Kira if he really loves Blue Lock. However, Kira denies it all, as he says that it's all trash, explaining that what they are doing here is close to inhumane brainwashing, which I think is a bit far, but he continues and says that he only accepted Buratsuta's offer so that he could deny that. Haneru then looks at him and says that he sees and thinks that Kira is basically on the far end of the anti-Blue Lock camp. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? Kira says that he is spot on and explains that he came here putting his whole life on the line, firstly to crush Blue Lock, but also to crush Isagi, which is crazy to say. Haneru then looks at him and says that he's got it, and just then, they arrive at the first gate, which is for them. They walk into it and see Nagi sitting on the ground all by himself, and he looks over at them and just says, "Hey." The ending text then says, "The awakened genius joins the fight. One fierce battle after another begins." With that said, we got some information that there won't be a break next week, and that the next chapter will be called Birdcage 2. Now, as you may have noticed, this chapter was super short, and it was just a half chapter. I do believe that it's because there is currently some sort of holiday in Japan, but yeah, we don't have too much to go off. But still, even with that said, we did get a ton of stuff in this chapter. Firstly, let's go over all of the people we saw in this chapter who are back for Side B. Some of the uninteresting no-names were Okawa, Wanima, and Ryo Namioka. Now, some of the notable names we saw were, of course, Nagi and Kira, but also Reiji, Himizu, and Nishioka. Anyway, with that, let's get right into talking about these leaks, and we need to talk about Haneru. So, from what I've gathered, it seems like he is a Japanese player who plays for the Dutch League Division 2. I will say that he looks to be a bit older than the other. However, that isn't stated anywhere, and he might just be the same as Aiku doesn't look to be Isagi's age, let's be honest. Anyway, while I do think that adding a new character like Haneru in this case could be exciting, I just don't really see the full picture of it. Let's be honest, Nagi is more than safe to pass, as he will just pass. There is no world where he doesn't pass. This means that there is just one spot left to be filled. Now, I do really think that it will be Kira who takes that place, and that's why I feel like it's kind of strange to just add a totally new character into the mix, as he will just be forgotten after this mini arc. Now, why do I strongly feel like it needs to be Kira? Well, he has so much build-up in this chapter. He has explained how he really dislikes Blue Lock and thinks of their ideas as straight-up human brainwashing. Not to mention that he said that he wanted to crush Blue Lock, but also Isagi. Now I feel like anyone who says that they want to crush Isagi is bound to get through, because that would create an insane rivalry between them for the story's sake. With that said, however, I'm very unsure on the strength level surrounding Kira and Isagi, because, let's be honest, Isagi, I would say, and this might be a hot take, but I feel like he is already on the new Gen 11 level. Or if you want to argue it, then you could say that he is just under it. But what about Kira? Now, was he the best striker during the start of the series? Well, yes, he was. And like we heard in this chapter, he was called Japan's hope. However, unless the side B players get some sort of insane upgrade, and now I'm talking wildcard level of upgrades, then I don't really see how he will stand a chance. Because at the best, he could be classified as a young Seindo. Because, well, Seindo was the Japan team's ace striker, and it seemed like Kira was going to be the next thing under him. Now, is Seindo good? Yes, he is very good. However, that's also because of firstly his training in Blue Lock, but also Ego's special training. Because in the match against Japan, U20 team and Blue Lock, he did have a few chances at the goal, but he missed all of them and didn't score. Now it's a feat in itself to be the ace of the U20 Japan team. But still, for Kira, I would put him to be just under what Seindo was in the U20 match. Now let me know in the comments if you agree with me here, or if you think that I'm off. However, personally, I think that it's a safe thing to say. Now with that explained, I wonder how someone like that will go up against and try to rival someone who is kind of already at the new Gen 11 level. I feel like there's too big of a gap. The only thing that could save this is if inside B there is some sort of wildcard training. Because in all honesty, I would say that Kira was just as good or even better than what Kunigami was when he got eliminated. Now there's no way to know that, however, from what we knew about Kira, I think that it would be the case. So I feel like he could potentially get the same boost as Kunigami got at the max. But also the reason why Kunigami survived the wildcard was because he already had the body to match it, which I'm unsure if Kira actually have. But anyway, I have gone on a bit of a rant here, but hopefully my point is coming across nicely. To end this segment, I want to say that I don't see Kira being able to rival Isagi unless he undergoes some sort of wildcard level training. Now, after that, let's move on to the other Blue Lock players we saw. I feel like we will quickly see all of them during this mini arc. We will see Reiji and Himizu for sure, but sadly, I feel like they will get eliminated just as quickly. I do wish that Reiji had a shot at clearing this Side B project and joining the U20 World Cup, but let's be honest, that just doesn't make sense. Also, while on the topic, I wanted to take a quick segment to speak about Nishioka. Now, if you're a longtime fan of the channel, then you would know just how much of a Nishioka glazer I am, and while I am hoping that he goes through here, in the back of my mind I just know how silly that really is, and if I'm honest, then I strongly doubt that it will happen. However, at the same time, it would be so cool, and this is really his final chance to prove himself, but that could be said for everyone outside of Nagi as well. Also, I haven't even talked about Nagi yet, which is kind of wild. Now I'll be honest, I am excited to have him back, but he is also not my favorite character, and I know that he will get through, but if he didn't, then I wouldn't be that mad. Call me crazy, but putting in Reiji instead of him would make me so much more hyped, as I have never really found Nagi that interesting, and I know that Nagi has the most dedicated fan base in Blue Lock, so they might come after me for saying this, but it's the truth for me. He has to really become a beast in this arc to start making me feel hyped about him. Because don't get me wrong, as in the Manshine City match, I was all about Nagi, and I still think to this day that he has the best goal in the series, but it got so annoying with him lacking the drive and motivation all of the time. Anyway, with that said, I know that all of the Nagi fans will be super happy with these leaks. Now I know that I have been talking for a super long while, but please bear with me a little more as I want to talk more about Haneru, and I'm so confused to what exactly his point of being here really is. I do think that he will be a above decent player, so it will probably come down to Nagi, Kira, and him being the last 3 players. However, he's just gonna end up getting eliminated after that, and then go back to the Dutch league. I feel like putting, for example, a previous Blue Lock player like Reiji or Himizu in his place would have worked fine or maybe even better, unless there is something deep and hidden from us about the Side B project that we don't know just yet. Also, with that, I want to say that the changing rooms looks like the first game will be tag, but if it's that again, then I will be a bit disappointed as I really hope for a new and exciting game. With that said, I am finally done yapping, but please let me know what you thought of today's early leaks. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel. And while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video, which will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.